So let's get right into it. These men and women are responsible for keeping our communities, our nation safe. But how well do we do right by them? We can talk about some of the infractions that we see from time to time. Absolutely, we talk about that. But on the flip side as well, let's talk about the welfare. And we have a man who is planning to lead a protest for both serving and retired police officers, particularly concerning their welfare. We have joining us on the program this morning, the 2023 presidential candidate of AAC, Mr. Sowore. He's live with us in our Abuja studio. You're welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sowore. I know that you're not new to protests, right? And it's almost mind-blowing to see how effective you are when it comes to agitations like this. You are almost every day on the streets fighting for one cause or the other. But why is this one important to you? And what is the goal, really, for police officers? Because some have said they've seen you come under, you know, some sort of, well, I call it brutality, whether mild or otherwise, from some erring officers, and you've recorded some of those things. But this is you now fighting for the same police officers. So what has inspired you to do this, and what is the goal?
Well, I think this happened in 2023 or thereabout. I was actually accosted by a police officer, and I was trying to record the transaction or the encounter. And when he realized I was the one, he said I should park, and he wanted to discuss something briefly with me. I thought he was going to ask for a bribe, and he said, look, you know, I'm going to retire in a few weeks, and my retirement take-home pay will not be more than 2 million naira. And this guy was, I think, a senior police inspector, and I was blown away. So how's that possible? You work for 35 years, and all you take home. I think he was even saying it was 1.6 million naira. That's his gratuity, and that following that, he would probably have another take-home of about 35,000 naira monthly pension. And I was just shocked by that, and I asked him more about that, did some research. So I've been talking about this since 2023. And for me, I don't need to prove anymore that I'm against police brutality or police corruption. But I also understand very well that without the police in our society, we probably can't even step out of the house. As much as we don't like the Nigerian police or police anywhere, we must understand that they are part of society. They are workers. They are part of us. You know, their families are families. They go to the same school, go to the same market. And the biggest argument against fighting for police is because the police is a terrible institution in Nigeria. Nobody has ever disagreed with that. But the flip side of it is that the police is also a reflection of who we are. They're a reflection of how they get paid, how they get treated. And it is time to look at the other side of it, which is to also start to think about how to treat the police force better than we've ever treated them. And I think it starts from remuneration. It starts from how the system look after them. What is so interesting about this is that it is those that are being protected by the police that are silent about their plight the most. You know, you look at the celebrities, politicians, all of us in 2020 came together and fought against police brutality. We fought against every policeman in this country. And we got some results, good and bad, from it. But now, nobody seems to be talking about their plight. And their plight is very central to who they are, how they perform their duties in society, and how they also see the rest of society. So the society has been very harsh towards the police, and I'm one of them. I've been very harsh towards the police. I'm still very harsh towards police corruption, brutality, and malfeasance. But I'm also a person of conscience who has looked at it and said, maybe we have a duty once in our lifetime to side with the police, ensuring that they get you know, better conditions of service, and we support them until they get there. So that's the reason why I got involved with this current struggle for police well-being and welfare.
So what is the goal for you? I saw you put up a post. They mustn't earn below 300,000 to 500,000. Is that really the goal? And do you see that as being feasible for the government or the budget to accommodate that?
Yes, it is feasible. In the course of doing this, I did some research, even up to last night, and found out that contrary to what you hear in the public domain, we do not have more than 220,000 or 250,000 police officers across Nigeria, even though they parade the number of 350,000. But in reality, most of the police officers that you hear in those statistics and big numbers are ghost workers. But that's not the issue. The issue is that if a policeman is going to carry a gun and protect a bank, there's no reason why he should not be paid as well as the banker that is protecting.
All right. We'll reconnect with Mr. Sowore because it's an important point being made there. In fact, it's not just those they protect, the kind of ammunitions they get. You're giving them an AK-47 that costs thousands of dollars. But more importantly, that AK-47 can take a life that you can't put a cost to in that sense. So I think it only makes sense to do right by them.
And I believe that Jeffrey has also made that point before at some time on the program about how much it costs to manufacture those weapons, how much it costs to ship those weapons, and then the weapons are handed over to those who would manage them, and those who are managing them are insignificantly, remunerated. It's just an unfair irony, of life and disposition at, executing most of the time government policies that we find it difficult to understand. The advocacy, of course, continues about how to improve the remuneration of men of our security forces, and the administration has been proposing, of course, increased salary remuneration, especially under this administration. So this conversation is a reminder about the state, about those negotiations, how far so far has the leadership of the force gone, and perhaps we could also talk about the Police Service Commission, which is charged with these matters. How far so far with the discussions as far as improved remuneration for the police? How far has it gone? What's the state, and what's the benchmark? Yeah, Jeffrey.
For me, it's beyond just the police. Anybody who is bearing arms in Nigeria, anybody who is responsible to protect lives and property, who we equip one way or the other. I think the least we can do for them is to make sure we protect them. The only protection we give to those who protect us is to properly take care of their welfare. Mr. Sowore, you were making a point before the network issues. Please go ahead.
Yes, my point is that you can't have, like you've stated, you can't have people protecting you left unprotected. Otherwise, you have no protection. And what we have seen in all of this is that when you do a comparative analysis of countries where policing is great, it has something to it that we are missing. That is how the policemen are taken care of. When I did my master's degree in the US, one of the studies that we undertook was to look at New York Police Department. It's called the NYPD. And they had equipment, helicopters, but they discovered that their policemen weren't doing well. Then one day, a police officer who was recruited to take over as the commissioner of police in that state came and asked the policeman to stand in front of him and ask him, what do you need? And they did their own research, they did their estimates, costing, and discovered that an average policeman need a pistol, they need 2 great pair of uniforms, they need life insurance, and then they need a great salary. And they increased it, and immediately they saw an immediate rise in police effectiveness. They saw almost a total eradication of violent crimes in New York City. And that was how the NYPD became one of the best at that time. So this is what we are asking the people of Nigeria to do. I'm not asking the police authorities, because the problem is that there's a disparity between police officers and the rank and file. I'm talking about the top management. Those ones don't see all of this. They see policemen as part of the problem of society, because they're there, they're well paid, they were well remunerated. They're like politicians, most of them make up to 50 million naira per day, whichever way you want to look at it, which is from corruption, you know, they have to provide these policemen to go and protect their friends in the political, the political elite and the economic class. So they don't care. But we are concerned about the people who are really doing the work. And it is time for us to just be on their side, ensure that they're well paid, they are well remunerated, and then when they are no longer in service, they don't become paupers. We don't ship poverty to people who are supposed to protect us. We don't keep them in poverty. And you made a very strong point about this not being a police issue. Since we started the campaign, there's been a lot of people from the civil defense, DSS, even army people, all of them are saying, well, we're going through the same thing. So what our point is, the police has come out at this time. Nothing stops you from coming out at the same time. We saw the problem all at once. There is no reason why we have this kind of income disparity or revenue disparity between those people the policemen are protecting and the policemen that are protecting them. I mentioned earlier that an average senator takes home 30 million naira per month. But the senator can't leave home except they're accompanied by the police. So why is it that senators are taking home 30 million per month and the policeman can't earn 500,000 naira per month? And what is 500,000 really? Maybe about $300 a month. That is what some people earn in a day, somewhere else, not in Nigeria. But the interesting thing about it is that there's a Police Pension Limited, a company that manages their pension. The pension company, an average worker there makes about $1 million naira per month. That's the least that they make. And the people whose pension they are managing are dying of poverty. Sometimes you just wake up in this country and wonder if anybody is thinking or if it makes sense at all that people just wake up and don't want to do anything about the most basic things about how the country is run. And for me, it's not just the police. I've talked about teachers before. This was my motivation in 2019 for proposing 100,000 naira in minimum wage. Yes, policemen are carrying arms, but there's no policeman that probably can become a policeman without a teacher. So it applies to all workers that we must radically look at how much our workers get paid. Otherwise, we'll wake up one day and discover that we have no policemen protecting us, and that would be doomsday.
Yeah, a very fair point, Mr. Sowore. We've looked at the valid arguments. Now, let's look at what may be the problem. Like most institutions in the country and in many countries of the world, they're intolerant to dissent. And in fact, your medium has reported in the past that the police sacked 6 officers for participating in a strike demanding a fairer remuneration. And in fact, on your X handle, you're reporting that there have been arrests of about 3 inspectors from an unspecified division in Lagos State for participating or for planning to participate in this protest. So what's going to be different this time around about this protest? In spite of the obvious danger of losing their jobs, are these officers, ready for the consequences?
Quiet and silent, but effective organizing. And yes, they've arrested some policemen who mostly are group administrators of WhatsApp groups that are discussing these issues. And we're working to get them released. But the most important thing is that they are all determined to get these problems resolved. And if it's not resolved, they are also very determined to act. The mistake the police authorities are making at the highest levels is that they think this is for retired officers. No, the people that are actually agitating the most, the people who are ready to act and down tools, if necessary, on July 21st, followed by another group planning for August 1st, by the way, they are mostly serving policemen, and they're ready. They are very willing and ready to take the consequences. You see, most of them have said this, and I believe it, that what they are being paid now is as good as being unemployed, considering the amount of risk they take. I mean, how do you serve for 35 years and your pension is 35,000 naira at the end of the month? What do you do with it? Buy a recharge card with it? How do you serve a country for 35 years and your monthly salary is highest 57,000, maybe 140,000, depending on your rank. How do you survive in a country where inflation rate is at 24%, where you have to pay school fees of your children, you have to treat yourself if you are sick, and you no longer have any of those facilities and amenities and also incentives that are there to help police. There's no police clinic where you can go take treatment. Maybe there's one, maybe it's just an empty building. You don't have a police pharmacy where you can buy drugs. They have a police cooperative society, but it's also been hijacked by those who are powerful and connected and probably corrupt. But what is interesting about this, I should mention, is that there are already some victories. For example, the police officer whose video went viral saying that he was being paid 2 point something million, I think it was an ASP or so, they suddenly discovered, the pension people suddenly discovered that they have 5 million naira in his account, in his RSA account. So, and they have asked him to come and collect it. So it has started, but now we're speaking directly to the policemen, rank and file, that please do not give up, do not backtrack. I know that they will threaten you that the people who did the strike or tried to plan a strike in 2003 weren't only arrested or sent, some of them were killed by the Obasanjo regime, but we live in a different era now, and people are very conscious, awake, and aware, and nobody is going to allow anybody to trample upon your rights without the public coming to your aid. And this time around, it's not just the police. We are mobilizing the Nigerian people to fight for the police, because for our entire time, we'll be fighting against the police. This is the time to fight for them. And this, by the way, doesn't stop us from fighting against them whenever we notice infractions in their actions and inactions.
Mr. Sowore, I think every Nigerian with conscience is in this with you. When we started the show, as soon as they said police welfare, I said aye, because there are so many positives to paying people who are armed better. But maybe walk us through the modalities. Is it a one-day strike? Is it a protest? Is it a two-day protest? How many places is it going to take place? Maybe how do you want to generate critical mass so get that level of impact? And how far-reaching? Because you mentioned something important. So besides their salaries being increased, there has to be other things that will be put in place or should be put in place to make sure that out-of-pocket spending is quite limited for them. I think they don't pay taxes. I mean, in terms of their health care and all of those things. We even talk about the issue of having body cam. It's both good for the policeman so that people can lie against them, and also for citizens so that the police cannot lie against citizens. So how long? Just the modalities.
Well, the strike is supposed to start, as I mentioned, on July 21st. The date was chosen by the police by themselves. It wasn't even my own proposal. We were just contacted because they saw that I've been involved in agitating for police welfare. And but that's the starting point. And the modality is for policemen to down tools on that day. When I say tools, we're not saying don't wear your uniform, but don't just work. And our proposal, which a lot of them are considering, is to withdraw their services, especially from the big men who are supposed to make this decision. If the IG of police finds out on July 21st that he wants to go to work and there are no policemen to drive him or carry gun and follow him, he will think twice. He will know that these people are serious. If they go to police station, they find you there and you say you want to report something and you say we're not working today until they address our issues, they'll think twice. And for those who may not be able to participate, ask your family to participate. The retirees are expected to go to the state commands across the country and take over the place in sittings peacefully. Don't molest anybody. And the ones that want to come to Abuja, they will go to the headquarters of the police force. And we expect all policemen, and those of you who are, not to act in ways that would in any way sabotage, frustrate, or thwart this, because this is about you. If you do it, you're acting against your own interests. And this is something that we expect all policemen to cooperate with and act in support of this struggle. The struggle is not just for you. It's about the future of your children. It's about the time you are retired and you no longer have the capacity to do things you are good at doing now. We want you to not have to suffer. But not just suffering during the time. We don't want you to suffer while you are actively protecting your nation and serving your nation. That is our proposal. But there will be more, and we hope the media also will get onto this. I think we should make this something we are all committed to at all levels, because when we wanted to fight the police in 2020, everybody was involved. I'm talking about NSAS. So now that we're fighting for them, I think everybody should be involved. And I'm using this opportunity to call on celebrities, the people who have influence on society, who themselves enjoy enormous police protection, not to keep quiet and not to be silent about the condition of these policemen. I know the ones that are accompanying celebrities get better pay, they get incentives, but at the end of the day, it's important that you all step out for the police. This is one moment, one in a lifetime opportunity that we have to show police appreciation. We don't need to wait until they die before we show them appreciation. And we can use this as an opportunity to renew our contract with policing. And so while we do this for you, we also want the police to be totally revamped. And, you know, in terms of equipment, remuneration, in terms of conduct, behavior, training, at all levels. And we want the police to be purged of very terrible characters as well. But for now, it is the time for it's police time.
Indeed, and I think the countdown is on. You had put up a wireless message, which appears as though it's a message to thwart that protest being organized by you. In fact, it says a peaceful protest, so we'll see how that plays out. But there's no how we'll have a conversation with you, the leader of the AAC, a presidential candidate, without getting a feel of at least of your perspective on the political situation in the country. I know you've spoken about the coalition and what you think about them. You've listed the names of the members of a coalition and what you think about it. But you seem to agree, at least with the coalition, on the fact that something needs to give when it comes to governance in the country. So if you were to give a condition, set of rules to the coalition or a group of politicians who may want to work with you, maybe they've seen your pedigree and the work you've done, they say, this is a great man to have on our team. What will those conditions be, Mr. Sowore?
You know, for me, the issue of a coalition is a personal issue, to some extent. Of course, there's also a general issue about governance and about politics. But there are just too many people in the coalition that you had mentioned that I can't even sit across the table from, I mean, personally, without being tempted to act out of my own personal character. So that's the issue. I cannot ignore those things. I can't ignore so many of the people in the coalition who have done Nigerians dirty, who have done what is regarded as evil. People who we know have no conscience, they have no character, they have no pedigree. There's no amount of conditions you can give to them that will make them wash their ways, or change the way they have behaved or the way they used to behave. These are typically people whose way of life is doing evil, doing bad, being corrupt, shortchanging the public, being selfish. So there's no condition that is available for them. The only conditions I have are those ones that will help me help the Nigerian people, those of us who want the country to be saved, both from the people who are ruling the country and the ruling party, and those who are planning to come and pounce on the Nigerian people. These people have all sat at one time or the other. You know their story. I've documented. Why probably I'm different is that I have documented their lifestyles. I've documented their ways of doing things. I've documented the capacity, and come to the conclusion based on empirical evidence that any country that's leaving the current ruling party and hands its future into the hands of members of the coalition you are mentioning, that country or those kind of people are only moving from destruction to perdition. There's no other way to describe it. So, but like I've always stated, there are enough good people in Nigeria, even when you look at the voter roll, to make a difference. There are enough people. Over 60 million people have never voted before, or have voted, their votes not been counted. There are young people, there are vibrant people, there are brilliant people. The country cannot be discussing some of its worst characters perpetually. We can't keep giving airtime to people who have demonstrated that they have nothing to give you. There's nothing to present. There's nothing to do. We can't keep giving them airtime.
Right.
And these are characters that have moved from political party to political party and coalitions. At the end of the day, you are going to end up with the same people who were governors for 8 years, stole, destroyed. You are going to end up with the same people who were murderers yesterday, who were corrupt people yesterday. You know them, you see them. There's
Mr.
no
Sowore,
point doing this to ourselves.
Mr. Sowore, I know your position has been clear time and again, but I mean, some would say, particularly those in the group, that that's character assassination. Which court has convicted me of some of these things you're saying and all of that? But I know that this is an ongoing conversation, and you do not mince words when you speak to these issues. But we have to thank you so much, Mr. Amoyele Sowore. Clearly, we'll be having you back in the coming days and weeks to speak to issues of politics, governance, and of course, human rights issues. So we've been speaking with the presidential candidate of the AAC in the 2023 election and the leader of the AAC, Mr. Amoyele Sowore, who's also publisher of Sowore Reporters. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, he's spoken a lot about the coalition. But up next, we have a member of the coalition joining us on the show. Is a former leader in the APC, now in the coalition. Just wait to find out who the person is. Stay with us.